Hi, Martin.
Hello, hello again. What's up?
Um, all good. Let's kick off. Right. By being here, we've agreed to the specification membership agreement, the participation guidelines, the contribution guide, and the code of conduct. And we know that the meetings are published to YouTube and that there may be LLM or AI summaries. We're going to introduce ourselves. Hi, everyone. My name is Benji,
Hello everyone, my name is Martin.
and we're going to review the agenda. Today, we will be looking at partial status codes, persisted queries, and anything else that may be missing leading for a release. Over to you, Martin.
I have nothing else to add. What's the status there? How do we feel about the release? And what's missing?
Okay, so from my point of view, um, persisted queries will come after the 1.0 release. So I would like it to come quite swiftly afterwards. But there are some final changes I'd like to make to it, in particular to do with the URLs as new sort of common patterns that seem to be quite beneficial are coming about in that. Um, but for the main spec, I think we've merged the security work. The only thing right now, other than a thorough review that we are pending, I think is the partial status code.
Yep.
And on that front, it's the decision between which code to use. We've got a few candidates. Um, I asked Dennis the other day about it. Dennis maintains GraphQL HTTP for anyone watching. And he said he did a very quick test. And he said basically all the browsers seem to be happy with all of the status codes that are proposed. So it shouldn't be an issue for them from the browser point of view, which is good. But it's obviously going to be a lot harder to find out whether there's going to be issues from any intermediary servers. I personally am somewhat tempted to just go with like 294 and see what happens. Maybe with a should rather than a must.
Yeah, this is what I was looking up. Is it a must right now?
There isn't. Oh, it's in a proposal, isn't it? So I don't know what wording I used in
Partial success.
there.
Using 4xx or 5xx is not appropriate. Contenders include. Oh, so right now there's nothing. It's just the list of.
Yeah, in the
It's
pull request 203, adding the partial status code, it's a should.
and it lists all the candidates, right? It's using 203.
In the discussion it does, yeah, but in the actual spec text, I wrote it up using 203 because I thought that was the most likely to not break anything.
Oh, okay.
The way I see it, either we go
Ah,
with
yes,
203.
should reply with 203. Yeah.
I
Yep.
think we
Sorry.
either go with 203 because it is it's the one that we can be most certain that it won't break things. Not 100% certain, but like it's least likely to break anything.
Mhm.
And then failing that, I think we should go straight for 294. Like if we're just going to accept any status code, let's go with 294 and have something that specifically means what we want it to mean because we're the ones defining it essentially. Um, that's my stance on it.
Can we change the should from 203 to 294 after the spec release?
Uh, we can, but I don't think that would be ideal. We'd
So
have
what
to put
about,
like a note in there saying like previously we recommended
yeah,
status code 203 for this, and it just becomes a little bit harder.
what if we just put all the contenders, like the server should reply with 203, with any of 203, 294, and which is the third one? I guess these are the only two contenders. Or just say nothing and just leave the discussion.
I think putting all of the options in the spec would not be an ideal
Yeah,
thing to do because the
yeah,
spec should be quite like it should tell you what to do.
informative, yes, definitely.
Yeah. So my thought is we should put 294 in, and then if that turns out to be a problem, we should address the problem by changing it to, for example, 203.
The problem is, how do we know it's a problem? It's always the same thing.
Yeah.
How do we get people to test this? Why is this not being released?
Well, we release it with this in it, and when it becomes a problem, then we
Okay,
change it.
yeah, I'm done with that. That works for me.
Because we've only used a should here, and we've put must be a 2xx status code, but should be. I'll rewrite this to be 294 rather than 203. Should be 294. It means if it does break anything for someone, they can just change it. It would be the server that would have to require to change it, but it's also the server that it would break. Like it won't, as far as we can tell, it won't break any web-based clients. I very much doubt it would break any mobile or native programming language clients because they all have control to do whatever they want. Um, so it is, if it's going to cause any problems, it's going to be like going through proxies, going through reverse caches, going through other intermediaries, IDSs, gateways, security servers, whatever. Um, and those things should all be under the control of the server team anyway. So if the server team are serving it up with 294s and they're getting problems, it's them that can then choose to not do that. So yeah, I think it's probably best to just go 294.
Sounds good.
Ideally, in an ideal world, someone would go out there and actually test it, like go and put 294 on a server and try it with all these intermediate servers and services, but no one has volunteered to do that. And
Yeah, and we still want to release before GraphQL Conf, right? Together with us, with the main spec release.
yeah.
It's been in the making for what now, 5 years? So I think it's high time for a release.
Okay. So the aim for the main spec was to have a spec freeze on the 1st of July. So if we essentially indicate this intent on this issue today, and we say, oh, my brain's still working. Indicate today that that's our plan. Our plan is to do 294. For anyone who thinks it's not a good idea, challenge them to come up with a demonstration to show it doesn't work, essentially,
Yep.
because there's too much opinion. And like, let's base it on facts and science. Um, Failing that, we'll push it out with a 294 and see what breaks.
Sounds
Can
good.
always change it later.
How can I help? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
The main thing about this, I think, that's quite important and that we need to stress to people is A, that this is only to be used when you're using this new media type, and B, that clients must ignore the status code when they're using this media
Hmm.
type. A lot of people keep thinking that it's like to help the client, but it is not. It's not for the client at all. The client can tell everything they need from the data and errors that come from the JSON. Like they can infer from data and errors what the status code should have been. So the status code itself is irrelevant and should be ignored. And you should even accept it with a non 2xx status code, like if it's got this content type.
I think we have a non-normative note about this, right? Processing a response, yeah, 7.1,
Yeah,
which
I
is
think I might have turned it into a should or must in this pull request, but I don't remember because it was a while ago. Let me find out clients. Yeah, it's the first full paragraph actually. With this media type, clients should process the response as a well-formed GraphQL response independent of the
yep.
HTTP status code and should read the response body to determine the status of the response. I'm not sure if that's clear enough, but essentially clients should ignore the status code.
That sounds clear to me.
Cool. Well, I can just do a quick regex replace for 203 with 294. Do you want to post in the conversation what was discussed?
Sounds good. Conversation or issues? Do we have conversations in this repo?
I just
Uh,
meant the pull request discussion.
oh, yes, yes, sounds good. I can do that.
Since it's just the two of us, I'm just going to do it live.
Same.
Do you prefer 294 or 295? I like 94 for PA for partial and 95 for PS for partial success.
Oh, is that what the ASCII is? Is that it?
No, just leet speak.
Ah, yeah, I don't. 294 looks good to me.
Okay, cool. That's the one we've discussed, so I'll just stick with that.
Yeah, let's better not introduce something new.
This edit is going to be actually a little bit longer than I expected, so I'm going to stop doing that live. Um, yeah, I want to update a bit of the text around the advice and stuff. So I'll do that once we are done on this call.
So, okay. And I will wait for your edits to post the hello everyone. Let's test this and get this out of the door.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so then the other one you asked about was
Persisted
persisted
queries. Yeah,
queries. Yeah.
I think I agree. We can release that after 1.0.
But I think it's basically there anyway. The main thing that I wanted to do, I think, is recommend that the URL be essentially like slash GraphQL slash name slash hash.
You have a
Um,
PR for this, right? Yeah, encourage URL approach. Is that what we are talking about? PR
yeah,
305?
that sounds right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a pull request to a pull request. Great.
Do you want to get this out at the same time? I feels like maybe too much of a stretch, right?
Persistent documents into the main spec release. It should it,
Yes.
it should definitely come after. But it should come rapidly after, I think.
Can make it a workshop or a working group at GraphQL Conf.
Well, I think there's a whole bunch of stuff that we need to have in the second version, and this is one of them. But then there's also call outs to particularly how to handle like incremental delivery and subscriptions. So, service center events or WebSockets or whatever, even if it's not in the spec itself, it should link out to or give advice on which things to use and why. I think it's okay to actually say, use one of these techniques, whichever one suits your needs best. I don't think we should necessarily say you should always use WebSockets or you should always use service center events. Um, Yeah. But we should add that stuff. But that's all after release. Let's just get this one out the door first.
All right. Sounds like we have a plan. That's all I had. Did you have anything else?
I was just reading over the URL approach. Yeah. Yeah, so my main change to this, I think at the moment, is that we should bring the name earlier in the URL. So at the moment we do GraphQL. Oh, no, in fact, someone argued against that and they actually made a really good point. No, I think we should accept it as is. It's probably fine as is. Yeah, my plan was to make it so the name came earlier because that way you can see it earlier in the URL. If you're looking at it like truncated, then it's much easier to see. But someone pointed out that most people will be looking at this through the browser DevTools, and for the browser DevTools, what they show you is the last segment. So actually having it on the end is better. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Like if it's in the URL, it's still better than not being in the URL. So
Yep.
yeah. Okay, cool. I think that's it. So I'm gonna do the rest of these edits and then I'll ping you on Discord.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Cheers, Martin. Bye.
Have a good night, good day, good evening.
You too.
See
Bye.
you.